Anetons, connecting professionals.
Right. So let's get started. So today we are starting the first morning batch. Okay, it starts at 10. And earlier we had another batch which was starting at 12 o'clock. And previously the another batch was at 2. So sooner and later we are starting and we are coming early mornings. So we thought of let's do it 10. Okay, and weekends everyone is fresh and fine. So very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining, and we are here to start the masterclass for Microsoft Intune course. Okay, so we are going to touch upon Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Okay, we'll talk about Microsoft Intune end to end. Where does this come from? What is behind the scene where the Intune is running, and how does this come into the picture, and what sort and all everything, I would say everything about Intune. We'll try to touch upon it. So before starting, let me introduce myself. So my name is Vaibhav, okay, and I'll be instructor for this class, okay, and I'll be taking care of everything about the training, interview preparation, and all sort of resume updates, resume proofreadings, interview, uh, you know, telling you all about the interviews and what sort, how you should start, coming up. So my name is Vaibhav, okay, and I am working as a corporate trainer, as an official corporate trainer, and I have currently in my environment, my role and responsibility is to completely manage and architect Intune infrastructure and Microsoft Azure services. And along with that, I have been like awarded so many accolades for learning ambassador in my current organization, and over 15 plus years of experience of mine, and I have coached and personally trained more than 30,000 plus occasional professional trainers, professional people. As a professional trainer, I have trained all these, and I'm certified from Microsoft, and I have AZ 900, AZ 104 certification. AZ 900 is a fundamental uh, certificate, okay. Then AZ 104 is more of Azure administration, 304 is more of the architect level, and then MD 102, which is all about your administration of Microsoft 365. Okay, and I have worked with IBM, Concentrix, Tata Consultancy Services, Capgemini, Infosys, and Hexaware. So all these big companies I have been very much valued for my job and my role, and the coaching that got given to the official, you know those people really got hands on the technology, and they are currently leveraging that in their organization. So for that, I've been known for making the concept quite simpler and easier. So you know if you can break down things in multiple chunks, and if you can teach it, it will become quite easier to understand. So that is one of my core area, and working all these big companies, so I better know what they exactly looking for the candidate, what sort of interview questions are coming, what is the real time scenario that you are supposed to get hands on. So all these I will get to go, and I'll make sure that you are from the beginner, you become as an architect, your knowledge should become and supersede architect knowledge, so you better can grow in your organization, you know in much faster manner. So coming to next thing, let's talk about what is Microsoft Intune. So Microsoft Intune, I think everyone is now aware. It's been like quite a number of years, like been more than 15 years now. So Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based service, okay, and from it is again it is coming from Microsoft. So Microsoft has developed this technology. So people who like the big organization, if I say, so they need to manage and secure their devices, okay, their applications and their data. So for that reason, Microsoft Intune was introduced. Okay, so mainly after the COVID, uh, if you can presume, everyone is working from home, or everyone as an offline, or they want to do the remote work, so they don't want to come to the office. So how to manage these devices securely, and how do you ensure that applications and your data is secured, and it's not like there is no cyber attacks or any data compromise, or maybe when you're talking about the HIPAA or other Europe countries, especially where you are compliant with the GDPR and other uh, you know com- uh, other rules and regulation of the organization. So in that case, it is quite essential that you use a robust technology, which is quite evident. Microsoft has been always, it's always great technologies that it has introduced. And now Microsoft Endpoint Manager is a complete suite in that this Microsoft Intune is a part. So this is especially designed in a sense so we can leverage bring your own device concept, which is like I as a personal, and I want to use my device to access my corporate data, so I can leverage that. But before 2018 or before that, it wasn't that easier to manage things. Okay, so now we can also secure with the compliances. Okay, we can do check whether the device is coming with the right framework, right compliance, and are we that user, is that the licensed owner or not, is he having the SSO. SSO is called single sign-on feature. So everything now will be checked before you stepping out of any accessing to any corporate data. So in simple term, I would say that Microsoft Intune lets IT admins like us to control devices. So now devices, it's been fragmented. Devices just not your Windows machine. Now devices, it's something like your phone, your mobile phones, your laptops, your tablets, and your desktops. So what not? Just only except servers. Everything is commonly being used in the organization, and all the employees, they want to use and access the corporate data securely on their personal devices, or they're sitting at remote location, they're not able to manage travel to the offices, but they are still entitled to work with the company, and they seem to have a secure channel through which they can access the corporate data. And corporations are being, they are very much particular about sharing the data information, and they want to have a secure channel through which they can access it. So here Microsoft wins, and Microsoft can leverage now Windows, your Mac OS, your iOS, and your Linux machines also, and your Android. So all these cross platforms we can manage through Microsoft Intune without any trouble. So that is the best part of it. Next is what are the key features. So Intune, as I said, Intune is coming from various features. Okay, where the first feature, it says about the cross platform device support, which means that any be it any platform, Microsoft Intune can manage the device. Okay. The second feature is what about mobile application management and app protection policies. So if you can notice at this side, so these are the two pillars. Okay. This is the one called MDM, which is mobile device management, and this is called APP, which is Intune app protection policies, or that is now has changed to MAM. Okay, which is called mobile application management. So this MAM, what is the role of MAM? The role of MAM is to protect your corporate, you know, uh, applications, whatever data you have in that application, it ensures that the data is not getting breached. Okay, so this through this policies, you can have access to your applications. You can simply download, you can install, you can uninstall, you can repair by doing this. Okay, whatever data is being transferred, this is easier. Now you cannot do a corporate compliant data to your personal, like for example, I'm using my personal phone, my Android, and I want to copy something from my Word document in my Outlook, and I want to paste that in my WhatsApp. So that is not possible because of the data protection. Okay, and application wipe, we can certainly do it. Okay, without touching personal data of user. Okay, we can do certain configuration of applications. So according to the configuration, that application should be validated. It will be evaluated on the device whether certain configurations are being met or not, and accordingly that app will perform. And then there is an app self-service that will also trigger whatever, if the problem is coming, maybe the application is keep on shutting down automatically, or it's stopping, or it's not responding, so you can do a repair, you can uninstall and reinstall as well. Okay, at the same time, device policy is called Microsoft MDM, which is called mobile device management. So mobile device management is purely based on your device. Okay, it's nothing to do with your applications. Okay, so device policies, we can have multiple policies. Okay, so if you can change something from here. Okay, so we can have conditional policies access. Okay, what conditional policy will do, that conditional policy will help you to identify whether the device is meeting the compliance, meeting the conditions or not, and before meeting the compliance, they will no access be given. Okay, then there is a compliance policies as well. So these policies will ensure that yes, your device is compliant, you as a user is compliant, and then you will have access on that device. So from here we can create multiple device policies. We can have device inventory, like we can see what is the device IMI EMA number, what is the storage on that device. Okay, and how many device applications are there, whether the device is coming from the right vendor or not, and all sort of things. We will, when we will doing the lab, we will have a look on this. Okay, then we can do a device wipe, which means without touching personal data, we can delete the device entry, we can create the device wipe, so straight away the device will be wiped as soon it is connected to the network. Okay, so it works sometimes when your device is stolen or misplaced, or there is some issues with the device and you just want to trigger a wipe, then that option will be worked. Then application push, so we can do certain application push from this side as well, and we can leverage that application. We can have a look on what to do with this. And device configuration, so you can have the certificates installed, you can have the VPN installed, all sort of things you can do for the device. So overall, you can manage everything on the device, and you can manage all the applications from the device. Okay, the best thing is called zero touch or autopilot or device enrollment, where you do not require a user intervention. You can straight away sit, and you can do a zero touch enrollment of the device, and then you can hand it over to the user. Or if user, in autopilot scenarios, if user is also getting the laptop directly from the vendor, he do not need to come to the office and sit for 2 hours or 3 hours for setting up his laptop. Okay, that is the thing. And then endpoint analytics and monitoring, so this helps to verify that yes, your this is a part of Microsoft Defender. This will help you out identifying yes, your device is not compromised, there is no threats, there is no trojan or any malicious thing on the device. Okay, that is what the need of endpoint analytics. Okay, we'll touch upon it once we will go on the architect level. Then patch management, so now you can manage Microsoft updates on all these devices from your one console only. Okay, Then support for shared frontline and specialty devices, where you, if for example if you have a scanner or any other devices or tools that having a OS installed on that, you can also that you can manage it from Intune. Okay. Then there is an integration with Microsoft ecosystem. So Microsoft has provided so many, uh, tools which we can utilize, we can leverage in Intune. So we'll talk about it in the next slide. All right. So this is a high level architecture of the device. I'll just zoom in so you can better see it. Okay. So this is the starting phase where your web console will be given, which is called intune.microsoft.com. Okay, through which you will access the Microsoft endpoints, Microsoft Intune services, which is part of Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Okay. Now from here you can do all sort of configuration and reporting. Okay. There is a graph API which connects all these services, your Azure services, okay, your Intune services from this graph API. So graph API is nothing. It's simply, it's like, I would say it's just a wall. Okay. So whenever you want to do something, okay, you just want to transfer something from here, so you need to get validated from graph API. Okay, if graph API confirms that yes, your information is correct and you're good to go, then it gives the green signal. Okay, so whatever information we are requesting, we need to go via graph API only, and graph API, the one which helps to identify that yes, data is validated, and then it returns with the query. So for example, if I am querying for a device, it will go to the graph API, or if I'm querying for any compliance policy, if I'm setting something new, it will go to graph API. From there it will be validated, and all those services that are required from Intune to manage, that will be only done from the graph API side. Okay. Then, so first thing, as soon you connected from Graph API, you are now entered into Microsoft Intune services. Okay. So this Microsoft Intune services, which leverages you to manage and configure the devices. Okay. In this section, we will be setting the configuration policies for the devices. We will be setting for endpoint security. So ensuring that yes, whatever device is being used, that is compliant. Okay. Without compliant, that device will not be granted access for any corporate resources. Okay. That is the first thing. Then you can protect the data. Okay. Protect data means, of course, you have a corporate applications, and these corporate applications have very essential and important data on it. Okay, you certainly don't want that to be compromised with your personal or anyone, from the personal side. He just stole the data and then he starts selling it out, or maybe he is doing something which is not absolutely acceptable, right? So in that case, protect data is the first parameter, okay, where you can set the app protection and compliance policies. So these policies will ensure that your data, your application is absolutely protected and it is being compliant. Until the application is not compliant, the data access will not be granted. Okay. And then there is a device compliance policy. So this device compliance policies will keep on reading the device compliance information. For example, I have a device and I'm not having a fingerprint on it. Okay. Or I do not have a pattern maybe for opening the device. Maybe I don't have that set the password. Okay. Then device is not compliant. What if the device is not running the latest version? Okay, for example, Android 14 or 15 is the latest. If that is not running, then device is not compliant. Device should not be jailbroken. Okay, device should not be tempered at any cost. Okay, so these are certain things which you can configure and ensure that your device is meeting the compliance before sending out data. And this app protection policies, it keeps on checking about the threat assessment. So threat assessment will check if there is anything which is going wrong, it will straight away block the access. Okay, so that's it. And then let's talk about the manage application. So in this manage application, you will be given all sort of applications which will be integrated. I will talk about the next how those applications. So if for example, if you have your own applications, that will be called as LOB, means line of business. So if each company, they certainly have some legacy applications which is coming from their own legacy, and they having their own source code, and they want to utilize this for their certain necessary requirements. So that LOB apps can also be managed from Intune. You can set app configuration policies, and accordingly these policies, the app will be verified, and if the configuration policies are correct, then yes, you are good to go. And then applications you can install, and you can send the applications on the device, you can repair, reinstall, all sort of things, you can do it from here. Okay, then let's talk about the integration part. So the crucial and integrated or essential part is coming here from Microsoft Entra ID. So Microsoft Entra ID, earlier it was known as, if you are aware, this was known as Azure AD, or sorry, uh, yeah, Azure AD, and they renamed it to Microsoft Entra. Okay, so Microsoft Entra is a new term which they have given. So this is nothing. It's like your on-premises Active Directory. The same thing is now in the cloud. Okay, so what it does, this ensures that whatever users or device information is there on your on-premises, the same will be synced with Microsoft Entra ID as well, and through which we can here create the groups. Okay, so for example, I have HR team, I have marketing team, I have sales team, and I have help desk, I have IT managers, also different set skills, a set of people with different skills. So I will create a group. Okay, and I will create that group in Entra ID. So these groups will be targeted as per the policies or as per the required applications that is needed. Okay, so that is the first thing which is foremost essential to manage your entire infrastructure. If you are a big company, like you have more than uh, 1 lakh plus devices, or you have huge footprint in the market, then in that case, yes, it's very difficult to manage the groups and people across the organization. Then you can set the device compliance results. Okay, so how this device compliance result will be validated? Through the conditional access. So conditional access is nothing, it's just condition. If the condition is met, the access will be given. It's straightforward. Okay, so these conditions we will set in Entra ID, and then we will deploy this to particular devices, and we will check how the compliance is working. Right, so if that is there, we can do it from Entra ID. Then let's talk about the integration. Okay, so integration, in sense, when I was talking about the application part, okay, so we have integration from these many stores. So Apple Store, okay, that is the one which is integrated with Intune. There is a Google Play Store that is working for your Android. This is for iOS and Mac devices. And Microsoft Store. So all the applications which you are using pertaining to Microsoft, okay, that is there. So all the applications will be synced in Intune automatically, so you can directly take advantage of it. Then this web application. So if, for example, if you have your own legacy application that you want to push through Intune, you can do it. Then you have SaaS applications, okay, which works as a software as a service, that can also be utilized. And then you have integration of Microsoft 365. So all applications which coming from 365, your Outlook, your Excel, and all sort of things, which is part of the 365 family, that can also be integrated. Okay, then you have managed Google Play applications as well, so that you can utilize. You can have all these like WhatsApp and all, whatever you see. Okay, the same thing you can leverage here as well. right? Then the another integration part is this. So this is where you can have all sort of devices, like not Windows Server, but integration of Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. That is also there. Okay. The next thing is integration, like these many managed devices. So these devices can be easily managed through Intune. So if you are working on Windows, now Windows 10 is being end of life on this 14th October. Okay. So now the organizations, what they're looking forward, they want to in place upgrade Windows 10 to Windows 11. So now Intune, they do not need to dependent. If you are coming from SSM background, we used to do this from SSM. We used to create task sequence, and then we need to push that to do the in place upgrade. Okay, but here you do not require, we have a feature update. Okay, here now we can do the same thing here from Intune as well. Okay, we can do the upgrade. Then you can manage your Mac operating system, Mac OS devices. You can manage iOS like iPhones and iPads, okay, from Apple, and Android. So all sort of versions that you can manage from all different vendors. You can manage this from here. And Linux is also part of it. So Linux machines can also be managed. So now Linux is having a very limited, I would say, uh, they have opened very limited scope right now. So we can have the edge installation, we can do certain configuration policies, we can do it from into Linux devices. All right. Then next thing what we can do, so for your Windows devices, now you don't need to be dependent on any third party, Windows update, or you need to do it on manual basis. You need to go to Microsoft Store and download the from the catalog the latest updates and do it. Or maybe if you're using a WSUS, okay, so which is Windows services, Windows update services. So we are not need to use any sort of things. You can directly connect this Intune to your catalog, and it can be over the internet. It can download these updates, and it can push it to your Windows machines. Okay, so that is the integration part, and this is what I was talking about, Windows Update for Business Deployment Services. So through this services, all these updates are coming down to these this, because of this services, all these updates are coming down here. Okay, so now these are the essential integration that is making your Intune more lively. Okay, so this was the architecture about your Intune. One more thing, just I missed it out. Okay, there is two things which is coming. One is from your Entra. Okay, you are getting a RBAC policy. So RBAC is means role based access policies. So these rules you can define. For example, I have a IT manager, his role will be different. I have an IT admin, his role will be different. I have a service desk, his role will be different. So accordingly, I can create a role and I can assign those people to work on these roles. For example, as an IT manager, I don't want to get into all these, I don't need to pay attention to create the policies and all sort of things. I am very much keen to validate the reports, to see the infrastructure, and just overall a dashboard. Just want to see what is happening with my tenant and how things are going. Okay, so for that I can create IT manager rule, and I can give certain permissions for that role, and then I can assign this to your to manager. Simple. Okay, then there is an integration that is now with Microsoft SCCM, which is called Configuration Manager. So here with SCCM, using the co-management, okay, you can leverage those Windows 10 devices or Windows 11 devices that you can also manage now with the Intune. Okay, earlier this part was really difficult. So now this has also been easy. Now we can manage on-premises devices plus your cloud applications and your devices which are connected or registered with Microsoft Intune. So that was the overall architecture, and let's talk about the data centers, okay, which is the biggest thing to be, identified. So this is like, I just want to go a detailed in this Azure data centers. So usually Microsoft Intune is not like an independent technology. Okay, it is dependent on Azure infrastructure. Okay, which is powered by, which is let me change this. Okay, so this is being powered by your Azure Service Fabric. Okay, I just want to use this tool so I can have it. So, okay, all right. So, this is what I'm telling. This is called Azure Service Fabric. Right. Okay, so this Azure infrastructure is powered by Azure Service Fabric, okay, which is the one which orchestrate all the Microsoft microservices. Okay, so if I go more into deep, so in behind the scene, if I'm talking about, so behind the scene says that only Intune, okay, which is dependent on Azure infrastructure, which is being managed or it's leveraging Azure Service Fabric. Okay, using this fabric we are getting the distributed system platform. Okay, for example, I would say that you are coming from India, okay, and you want to use a Microsoft Intune. Okay, so in that Microsoft Intune, what things will be used? Okay, so first thing will be SQL. Okay, SQL DB. Okay, this SQL DB will ensure that all the metadata, whatever the policies we are creating, that will be saved here. Okay, there will be Azure Blob storage that will store the logs, diagnostic, and your application packages. So what I'm trying to say, each thing, okay, everything is here in the container. Okay, so these racks, works as a container, and all sort of, in tune things is kept. So all these are divided into multiple chunks, okay, and all having different Intune tenant, okay, which is coincides in these racks. Okay, so all these are fragmented with various Azure infrastructure services which is being used, as I said, Azure Blob storage, which is being used for diagnostic logs and application packages. Then there is an Entra ID which authenticates user and devices. There is an Azure Monitor through which we are tracking the performance, compliances, and diagnostic. Then there is a container registry which runs the background, or I would say backend services. Okay, so everything is now in the container. So if anyone is asking like Intune is independent, no, it's not. It is heavily dependent on Azure data centers, and Azure is the one which is Azure Service Fabric, which is the one which is fragmenting all the services and orchestrating it so that Intune can leverage all these services and it can manage scalability, reliability, or all those stateless microservices. Okay, so with this, we can have multi-environment. Multi-environment support means you can have multiple, on-premise devices, you can have scalability, you can have the flexibility of deployment, all sort of things. Okay, you can do it. So scalability is the first thing that Intune takes. So what it does, if you want to handle millions of the devices, okay, and you just want to scale the services dynamically, then these, Azure data centers, comes into the picture. So all these racks, if you go, so these are like, I don't have any count here, but these are the heavily invested plants. Okay, and this is how something that the data centers look like. This is the outside view. Okay, this is the outside view, and this is the inside. Okay, so this is the inside view. This is how it works. So it is, it's on the secret locations most of the times, like you cannot see it or you cannot have access to it and all sort of things. But yes, So Intune is not purely being managed at itself, but there are various services which is there in the background, which is helping Intune to run the show. Okay, then so this was the data center, and so Azure geolocations. So let's talk about this locations. So what are these locations and what where these are available right now? Okay, so if you are coming from Azure background, maybe if not, then I would say that Microsoft Azure having a largest global footprints right now. There is like over 60 regions, or I would say more than 120 availability zones is there in the worldwide. Okay, so if you geographically, if you look at this, so you can better see this, like how this, how vast is, I mean, it's gonna be very small on this image, but if you go to worldwide, there is like 60 regions. 60 regions is a very big number, and 120 availability zones. So these are the availability zones, right? So this is what it says. Every region, there is scalability. For example, if I say United States, so in United States there is East US 2, then there is a Central US, there is a West US, there is a West US 2, and all. In Asia Pacific, I would say Singapore is one of the Southeast Asia, then Hong Kong, that is East Asia, Japan, East Asia, and Korea, Central. In India, you must be aware of it. If not, I'll tell you. So uh, in India, if you are aware about the Pune, okay, so it's there. That is called Central India. Then we have data centers in Chennai, okay, that is there. And then in West India, okay, then Mumbai. So Mumbai is also having this data centers. Okay, so likewise in Middle East we have UAE, which is like Dubai, okay, which is having the data center. So all sort of like everywhere you would see in Africa or South America, Middle East, Canada, Australia, India, Asia Pacific, everywhere, if you go look at this, so you can see that it's spread across everywhere, and they keep on adding the uh, latest or greatest regions. Okay, so what is mean of having this? To give you the robust and scalable and uninterrupted services at all the time, right? So these are the availability zones which will be decided. So for example, if I'm sitting in India and I just want to uh, you know create a server for myself, okay, so I will be getting a availability zone which is near to Pune, Chennai, or maybe Mumbai. Okay, so these three locations, why we are heavily looking for the availability zones. So reason of it, so for example, if I say that I'm looking for something, I'm looking for something which is nearby to me, so that my scalability is there. And if I'm in Pune, okay, so I can better look for the Mumbai location. Or if I'm Mumbai, I can better look for the Pune location. Or if I'm in Chennai, I'll look for the Chennai location. Why? Because if the availability zones are near, okay, so data processing is quite fast, okay, and you get the seamless experience all the times. So that is why the data centers are, they have made available data centers in such a way that each region does have the fastest connectivity and seamless experience for the users. Okay, so that was the availability zones, right? And let's come to the Intune history. Okay, this is uh, I really wanted to share this. So Azure is started in 2010, okay, when this was introduced as data Windows Intune. And at that time, when we were, having this, so we used to have a Intune agent, a client that needs to be installed on machines, and then we were able to manage it. Okay, that wasn't robust that time. That was a beta time, like in 2015. I was saying. Then it was really tough time to manage on prepare the report, get all sort of things. But that's not the case. Now 2011 March, okay, they officially launched Intune. Okay, what they did, they ensured that this at least support the PC management, which is like Windows, and then for Windows updates, malware protection, and all sort of inventory updates. Okay, that was coming from there. And 2014 and 15, this was the time that they evolved Intune in such a way that they made it officially open. They ensured that MDM and MAM, the two pillars that got integrated with this, okay, and then they also added these iOS, Android, and macOS. So from here, Intune became the one of the leading platform which is supporting all sort of cross platforms operating systems. 2017, it was integrated with SCCM. Okay, if you coming from SCCM, you better know. So this integration was done in 2017, and through which now we were able to manage your on-premise devices and your cloud devices. Okay, we were able to manage both of it from here. And 2020 and 22, it continued with the integration as we talked about Microsoft 365, Azure Active Directory, Windows Autopilot, all sort of things got inherited and got integrated. Now, the recent thing which we are in 2014 last year, there were AI-driven analytics added, and there are lots of things which got added as analytics. I will take a look when we are covering the demonstration thing. Okay. So this was the overall Intune history. You must know before touching upon a product, what is the history where it came from, right? All right. So next, let's talk about the competitor. So why this Intune, stand out? So there is like multiple competitors like Mars, Jam Pro. It is especially used for Mac and iOS devices. Then we have Citrix, we have Cisco, Meraki, Sophos, and Workspace. One is now more. They are more advertising about this application, and then Engine is something which is coming from India. Then Ivanti, then Quest, Kasaya, Tanium, okay, all sort of BlackBerry and ConnectWise. So all these are the competitors of Intune. Okay. Then in this case, how would you choose that why I should go for Intune only? Okay. So if you look for most of them, okay, for example, if I go with the Jam Pro, okay, so Jam is more of for Mac OS, okay, and iOS. They are more robust in this, technology. At the same time, if you look for IBM and all, so majority of them they are touching upon few cross platforms. Okay, why Intune? Because Intune is directly coming from Microsoft. Okay, this is coming from Microsoft, and it has having the integration with all sort of Microsoft services. And for you, as in like if you're coming from Microsoft ecosystem, it becomes easier for you to manage the platforms, right? And the integration is quite easy. Okay, licensing is also easy. So for that region, Intune has having the more than 60% stakes in the market right now for all these from all these applications. So that's why Intune is becoming the monster. Okay, monster in the market, and that's why we are looking for to learn something which has evident, which has broke the market trend. Okay, so let's understand the next slide what we have to cover. So what is like it's very common question. This was the same question of mine when I studied or started working on Intune. Okay, what it is, what if I break something, how comfortable I am manage all these major tasks and all sort of things. So let's understand that it is purely based GUI based. Okay, where you don't need to do any coding in the background like Linux and all. Okay, that is not the case. So all major tasks you can directly do it from Intune. Okay, by using the